Hey guys, welcome back to the Curly Reader. My name's Amanda, and today I would like to share with you my 5 favorite reads from fall. So each season I try to do a video where I share with you my favorite reads from the past 3 months. So for me, the fall months are September, October, November. And so I have 5 books to share with you that were my favorites that I read during those 3 months. So let's get into this. The first book that I want to share with you is a middle grade graphic novel. And if you have been around my channel for any amount of time, well, the past 3 months, you will know that this is Witches of Brooklyn by Sophie Escapase. Escapase? I don't know how to pronounce her last name. But this is just a middle grade graphic novel about a little girl, Effie, who moves to Brooklyn. Her mom has passed away, and so she is going into the care of her aunts that she doesn't really know, and so she's kind of dealing with some grief, and then she finds out that her aunts are witches, and then she starts realizing that maybe she has some powers too. And it's just kind of about their adventure. This is going to become a series, and I'm very excited for the next one. But in this one specifically, they deal with the idea of celebrity, and when a celebrity does not live up to your expectations of them in the real world, and how to handle that, and how to either separate the artist from their work, or decide to maybe not partake in the work anymore, and the dilemma that comes with that and how to handle that. I really appreciated the topics that were covered in this book, and yeah, really liked it. Definitely one of my favorites. Another middle grade favorite of mine that I got from the library and have since returned is Fighting Words by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley. This is a book that deals with the topic of sexual assault with minors. It is very difficult to read. However, it was super impactful. This is one that you're going to want to read and then share with your children, but share with them in the way of having a conversation with them about it, not just handing it to them and letting them go with it. It deals with a lot of very heavy topics, including homelessness and attempted suicide and foster care and depression, mental health, as well as sexual assault and sexual abuse, drug use, things like that. It has a lot of content in it, but it is written for middle grade students. It's written from the perspective of a 10-year-old, and it's handled so well. It's done with such grace and such wisdom and knowledge that I think it's absolutely wonderful in the right hands. And so definitely proceed with caution, but definitely read it and share it with the children in your life from an educational perspective. All right. My last middle grade book that's on this list is another one by Kimberly Brubaker Bradley, and that is Jeffersons Sons. This book was so good. This is a book about Thomas Jefferson's sons that he had with his slave, Sally Hemings. And so it's told from the point of view of 2 of the different boys, his sons, as well as another slave that was on his plantation and at Monticello. And it was just so good. The way that Kimberly Brubaker writes her characters is unlike anything else. I have now read this, Fighting Words, The War That Saved My Life, and The War I Finally Won, and every one of them, her character development is just so good, and this one is no different. This one, it's historical. It deals with the questioning of identity that comes when your father owns you and does not necessarily show you the love that you want him to, and dealing with a mother who is trying to look out for your best interest, and in doing so is giving away parts of herself, and it was absolutely heartbreaking, gut-wrenching, so important, so well done. Highly, highly recommend for everybody. But yeah, this one definitely is on that list as well. My two adult novels that I read that ended up in this favorites is the first one is Transcendent Kingdom by Ya Agassi. I listened to this one via audiobook, and at first I didn't really know how I felt about it, but the further I got in it, the more I realized the smartness and the depth that came with the exploration of topics in this book. This book follows our main character. I don't remember her name because I never remember any characters' names in books. But it follows our main character, who is a neurologist, and she is studying in a lab. She's studying addiction and the chemical makeup of your brain and how addiction affects that. And so she's studying this. Meanwhile, she was raised in she comes from an immigrant family who immigrated, I want to say from Nigeria, but now that I'm saying that, I don't remember 100% if that's correct. But it was somewhere in Africa, I know that. So her parents immigrated when she was a child. So she's kind of first generation immigrant and comes from a very religious, very evangelical Southern home. And on top of that, her brother died of an overdose when she was a teenager. I think she was a teenager when that happened. And all of this you find out very early in the book. And so the way that the author explores the juxtaposition of mental health and religion and science is so meticulously done. It was just done flawlessly. I feel like so many people will be able to get something out of this book. I personally do not have anyone in my immediate family that has dealt with addiction to this level, and or has dealt with mental health to the level of which is discussed in this book. But I still felt like I could relate to a lot of what was going on. And I feel like everybody, because it comes from those three different sides, I feel like everybody has at least some perspective in this book. And so I feel like everybody could get something out of this. And it was just so well done. Really, really enjoyed it. I'm looking forward to rereading it again in the future because it was one of those books that just has stuck with me. And I keep going back to and thinking over and over and over again. So that was my fourth book. Book number 5 on this list is a nonfiction book, and that is The Lazy Genius Way by Kendra Adachi. This is another one that I listened to on audio, and then I went and bought it because it was just that good. This is kind of, I guess you could call it like a self-help book, but it is done from the point of view of, what does it say? Embrace what matters, ditch what doesn't, and get stuff done. And that's really what it's about. It's about prioritizing things in your life. Do things in an efficient way and don't worry about what the world thinks is important. Do what's important for you and your family and forget the rest. And so I just really, really related to a lot of what was in this book. This is probably one of my favorite self-help books that I have ever read, because I just found it so relatable, and I feel like any person could get something from this. And really, some of the stuff she says, it's not rocket science, but it's like you just need somebody to say it, and then you're like, oh, well, yeah, that makes sense, So really, really, really like this one, and highly, highly recommend it. So those were my 5 favorite books from fall. If you've read any of these, I would love to hear your opinions about them down below in the comments. Also, let me know what your favorite book that you read this fall was. And yeah, other than that, I hope that you enjoyed this, and I hope that you stick around and subscribe. And until next time, see ya!